Imagine, if you will, that life is a river, a flowing, ever-changing stream of experiences, people, and moments. And you, like a leaf, are drifting upon it. Sometimes the current is gentle and pleasant, guiding you effortlessly to beautiful shores. But sometimes you get caught in an eddy, swirling in circles, pulled this way and that by unseen forces, struggling to stay afloat. And then there are times when the river feels turbulent, violent even, filled with rocks and debris that threaten to drown you. You find yourself clinging to something, anything, trying to keep from being swept away. Now, what if I told you that the source of this turbulence, this turmoil, is not the river itself, but the way you're interacting with it? What if the true source of the chaos is a relationship that you have with something or someone that is toxic to your soul, your peace, and your joy? Relationships. The most beautiful and complicated aspect of being human. We connect, we love, we learn, and we grow. But when we are tied to someone who drags us under, someone who makes the river feel more like a storm, it's time to pause. It's time to ask ourselves, what is this relationship really bringing me? Is it helping me flow with life, or is it holding me back? A toxic girlfriend. The words themselves almost taste bitter. But what do they mean? A toxic person in any relationship is one who brings harm, whether intentionally or not, to your well-being. And let's be clear, sometimes this harm comes in small doses, like poison dripping slowly into a glass of water. Other times, it comes in bursts, like a flood that sweeps you off your feet. Either way, the effect is the same. You are left drained, confused, and emotionally exhausted. Toxicity wears many faces. It can look like manipulation, control, or constant criticism. It can feel like walking on eggshells, never knowing what will set the other person off. You might be with someone who makes you feel small, unworthy, or always at fault. In other words, you're no longer living freely as yourself, but you're constantly contorting yourself to fit into someone else's reality. This is where the toxicity seeps in, when the balance is lost, and your peace is sacrificed for the sake of maintaining a connection that no longer serves you. Now, you may think to yourself, but I love her. I care for her. I've invested so much time and energy into this relationship. If I leave, who am I? What will I do? This is the crux of the matter, the illusion of clinging. You see, the more tightly you hold on to something, the more tightly it holds on to you. It becomes a cycle of attachment. You've wrapped yourself around this person. Their identity has intertwined with yours, and now it feels impossible to let go. But here's the thing. Letting go doesn't mean abandoning. It doesn't mean that love has been lost or that you are less of a person. On the contrary, letting go is the most loving thing you can do for both of you. Love is not about possession or control. Love is about freedom. It's about allowing each person to be themselves without the need to manipulate or change. Love is about a mutual flow, not a stagnant pool. When you cling, you are trying to control the flow of the river, and in doing so, you get stuck. The river itself doesn't need to be forced. It moves naturally as it should. You too can move naturally without forcing things to work. It is through surrender that you find peace. Separation begins with awareness. If you're asking yourself whether you should separate from a toxic girlfriend, you've already begun the journey. This is the first step. You've recognized that something isn't quite right. You've started to question the patterns in the relationship, the unhealthy dynamics that have started to shape your experience. The relationship has become a weight, something that drags you down rather than lifting you up. But what if, even now, the pull to stay is still strong? What if the fear of being alone, of being without her, is still louder than the voice of reason? This is where mindfulness becomes your ally. Take a moment to step back and examine the relationship from a place of neutrality. Ask yourself questions like, is this relationship making me feel more alive or more drained? Do I feel respected and valued, or belittled and controlled? Am I free to be myself, or do I feel trapped in someone else's vision of who I should be? Answering these questions honestly, without judgment, will give you the clarity you need to move forward. Often, it's not a matter of fixing the relationship, but recognizing that the relationship itself isn't serving either of you in the way it should. Let's explore the concept of letting go. It's an art. It's not a dramatic, violent rejection of the other person. No, it's a peaceful release, like letting go of a balloon into the sky. It rises gently, freely, and naturally. Letting go is a quiet act of liberation, not an act of revenge or anger. It begins by recognizing that your well-being is your own responsibility. It's the understanding that your happiness cannot be dictated by someone else's behavior, nor should you compromise your inner peace for the sake of keeping another person happy. Letting go is about reclaiming your power. It's about saying, I am worthy of peace. I am worthy of love that nurtures me, and I can no longer accept a relationship that diminishes my spirit. But here's the truth. Letting go might not be easy. There may be tears, there may be guilt, and there may be resistance. The ego doesn't like to be rejected. It will try to convince you that leaving this toxic relationship means something about you, something that you should fear. It will try to convince you that you can't survive without her, that the emptiness you feel without her is a sign of failure. But this is the ego's voice, not your true voice. True freedom lies in the willingness to accept that separation is a form of self-love. By removing yourself from toxicity, you make space for something better to enter your life. You make room for new experiences, new growth, and new connections that align with your true self. In the process of separating, there are practical steps you can take to ease the transition. First, you must set clear boundaries. Boundaries are the sacred lines that protect your energy. In a toxic relationship, these boundaries have likely been blurred or ignored. It's time to draw them back in. Decide on the kind of behavior you will no longer tolerate, whether it's manipulation, criticism, or emotional abuse. Let her know where you stand and be firm but compassionate in your communication. You must also be honest but not cruel. When you communicate the decision to separate, be honest but not harsh. Speak from the heart and explain that this relationship is no longer serving either of you. It's not about blaming or criticizing, it's about recognizing that both of you deserve better. Once the decision is made, create the necessary space between you. This might mean reducing contact or, in some cases, cutting off communication entirely. It's not about being vindictive. It's about giving yourself the emotional distance you need to heal. Separation can feel lonely, even if it's the right decision. Surround yourself with friends, family, or a support group. Let others remind you of your worth, of your strength, and of the beautiful life that lies ahead. Separation from a toxic girlfriend is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of a new journey. It is a journey back to yourself, to your peace, and to your freedom. As you release her from your life, you make space for new experiences, for self-discovery, and for the kind of relationships that truly nourish you. Remember, the river of life is always flowing, always moving forward. The toxic eddy you were once caught in is but a moment in the larger current. Let go and let the flow of life carry you to places of joy, love, and authenticity. And as you float downstream, you'll find that the journey is far more beautiful than the struggle ever was. I wish you the best of luck in separating yourself from a toxic girlfriend. If you have any comments or thoughts, please feel free to share them with me. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe.